What's the deal, YouTube? It's your boy Tank Be Chopping, and I'm coming at y'all with another haircut tutorial. So what we finna do on this cut right here, we finna take the top down with a 7, do a number 6 on the sides, high taper fade, line up the beard. We finna hook this man up, man. Let's go. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a comb and I'm gonna comb down the hair the way it lays. That way I can see basically what's going on before I actually attack this haircut. All right, now I got my number 7 guard on my Stylecraft Alphas. I have the filthy blends on there, so as you can see, I'm using those purple magnetic guards, and I'm taking the top down with a number 7, and then I'm gonna grab my number 6 guard, and I'm gonna go over the sides with it. And remember, guys, when I start taking down the hair, I like to go over it a couple times. Basically, just make sure everything is down to that desired length. And as you can see, that's what I'm doing on the sides now. I got my number 6 guard on there, and I'm just taking all that down. Just making sure it's all even. So with my absolute hitters from Stylecraft, I'm actually lining up the back of the ear area. So I'm just going ahead and line that up. Since I got my trimmers in my hand, I'm gonna go over the ear and I'm gonna start my initial bald guideline. And since this guy right here comes every week, actually what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go ahead and line him up already, just because you can see that line is still, you know, it has some new growth, but it's still pretty fresh. So I wanna make sure I keep this basically where it's at. So I'm gonna go ahead and line him up after I set my initial bald guideline in. And like I said, we are doing a high taper, so we're gonna bald him out pretty high. So here I am lining up the back of the beard. Now I'm hitting that vertical bar, making sure it's nice and straight. And another reason why I'm doing this before I actually start the haircut, guys, is since we are doing a high taper, a lot of that's gonna get faded out. So I wanna make sure I have that line straight before I even start fading anything in. And as you can see, now I'm just attacking that top of the beard, making sure it's nice and crisp. So I'm sure y'all seen my boy Matthew before. I've put him on one of my vlogs. He be hitting the gym with me. He's an every week client. And let me tell y'all something about this guy, man. Like I said, he comes every week and he drops $100 every week, man. I really appreciate that, man. Like, and I know a lot of people always ask him, like, dang, why you pay so much for your haircut? And he's told me what his response is, look at the quality of this cut. Like, that's why I pay that. It's a great haircut, and I appreciate that. All right, so as y'all can see now, I'm taking my shaver from Stylecraft and I'm just taking all that down the skin. And now we're starting our actual fade work. I got my clipper all the way open, and I'm coming up about 3/4 of an inch, half an inch to 3/4 of an inch, just to set that next guideline in. Make sure it's nice and straight. And now I'm gonna close my lever 2 notches. Come up about halfway, close my lever 1 more notch, come up right below that, and now it's all the way closed and I'm attacking that bottom line. And now I'm just gonna be doing some lever play to make sure that's all nice and consistent. So now I got my number 4 guard on my Absolute Alphas. My lever is all the way open and I'm debulking behind the ear, and I'm making sure I use out that flick out motion just to make sure I don't create any lines. And then I'm gonna go ahead and close my lever and basically do the same thing, but like I said, I'm still flicking out, making sure I don't create any lines. So I am gonna do a little bit of the fade down technique just because I'm doing a high taper and I don't wanna go too high. So I will be doing that fade down technique on most of this haircut. All right, so here's my number 3 guard. I have it all the way open. And now I'm basically just coming underneath what I previously did with that number 4. And as you can see, I am flicking out. I'm just floating that clipper out. I don't want to make sure, I want to make sure I'm not leaving any harsh lines, so I'm not putting too much pressure on the scalp. As you can see, I just adjusted my lever close and I'm coming up right below what I just did. So sometimes, guys, when you fade down, it does get a little difficult because there's no guidelines. So you basically have to picture them guidelines in your head and know exactly how high you went with the previous guard, so you don't continue to go to that height and create a harsh line. So here's my number 2 guard. My lever is all the way open and I'm coming up right below what I just did. Basically just floating that clipper up and away. You know, same thing, making sure I'm not creating any harsh lines, and I'm gonna adjust that lever close and come up right below, basically right below what I just did. I know it sounds real repetitive, guys, but when you use that fade down technique, you're gonna keep coming down slightly lower and lower with every guard you go down. Now my lever is closed, and I'm just attacking that right below where I just came with the number 2 open. So here is my 1/8 guard. Lever is open. And as you can see, it's looking pretty faded. You know, it's coming together, guys. Like, we ain't done yet. You know, we still got some detail work to do. And most of the time, once I'm done with the haircut, I detail it a little more. But yeah, here's my 1 closed now, and I'm just attacking that line. Still making sure I'm flicking out and floating the clipper up and away. So here is my 0 guard or my 1/16, depending on how you like to call it. It's the same guard, guys, whether you say 0 or 1/16. And I'm starting with that lever open, and I'm just gonna adjust it closed and try to just flick out that line. So now I'm moving on to some detail work. And remember, guys, when you do detail work, most of the time I start off with a bigger guard than what I think is right there. And reason why I do that is I'd much rather not cut anything than cut off too much. You feel what I'm saying? So I started off with that number 4, and I just tapped at that top line, try to clean up them dark areas. And if it didn't cut anything, then I'm gonna go to the next guard below that. So basically I'm fading down again, but this time I'm just focusing on them dark areas. So now here I am going with no guard on my clipper. I started off with my lever closed, attacking them dark spots, and now my lever is all the way open. Closing it halfway and just using the corner of my blade. Just trying to get them lines out, making sure this fade looks nice and blurry, and try to give this man the best haircut I can possibly give. So now I'm taking my trimmers and I'm just attacking that bottom line, making sure I get that bald line out. And now we're gonna move on to doing some of the beard work that I did not previously do. So as you can see, I'm just lining them up under the chin area. Now I'm lining up his mustache and inside of his goatee area. And you don't have to do this haircut in the same exact steps that I'm doing. You don't have to line up his beard at the end. You can wait to the very, very end. But I just like to do mine since I'm already on this side of the haircut. I'm just going ahead and line it up and fade it all in. So as you can see, I'm fading down. I started with my clipper open, clipper closed. Then I used that number 1 guard. And now here I am with my number 4 guard, knocking down all that beard. So now we're starting on the opposite side, guys. Y'all know how it goes. Whatever we did to the other side of the haircut, we must do to this side. So as you can see, I'm lining him up behind the ear, setting my bald guideline in. And I'm taking off all that C-cup. I don't know if I sit on the opposite side, but we're taking off that whole C-cup. When people ask for high tapers, it's rare that I leave a C-cup unless they really specify that's what they want. But most of the time, I take that all off. So as y'all can see, I'm starting off and I'm just debulking behind the ears, guys. And I'm going to be doing the same exact steps that I previously did. So if you have any questions about those steps, you can just go back and rewatch what I did. I'm really not going to talk too much about the haircut here. I'm just going to let y'all see what I'm doing. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this haircut so far, guys. Like I said, we are gonna, lace this man up with the whole 9. So he's gonna get the beard trim, the lineup. We're gonna add some enhancements. We're gonna put the barber pencil to him. We're gonna make this haircut just pop, and we're gonna take this haircut to the next level. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this cut so far, guys. Like I said, we getting into it, we working. We're gonna make sure this man has a blurry taper. Let's go. Also, guys, if you haven't done so, I'd really appreciate it if y'all smash that like button. And also, if you haven't done so, make sure to subscribe one time for your boy. If y'all have any questions about these tools that y'all see in this video, just drop a comment below, guys. Let me know whatever question it is. I'll be sure to answer it. Also, if you want to try out any of these tools, you can head over to either the Stylecraft website or the Gamma website, and you can use my code TANK10 and you get a small discount. I'm gonna, you already know how I do. I'm gonna leave the link in my description. So yeah, y'all could just click that little description button and check that out. And like I said, if you use code TANK10, you will get a small discount, and I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, so here y'all can see I'm using no guard on my clipper, and I'm using the corners of my blade. And that's just some detail work. That's just a technique that I learned over the years, and it just helps me basically put out a better cut. So now I'm taking down his beard with a 4, making sure this matches the other side. And now I have my number 1 guard lever open, and I'm taking down the mustache area with the number 1.5. All right, so now I'm lining them up on his front edge up, and I'm just making sure both sides match. I want to make sure this is nice and straight. So as you can see, I'm just lining it up. Like I said, just making sure it all matches and making sure it looks all, like one edge up, not like I did 2 separate edge ups. All right, so now I came back to the first side that I did, and I decided I wanted to add some more detail work. I just wanted to make sure that fade looked better. So here we are changing the guards, changing the lever, just cleaning everything up, making sure it looks better. Like I said, man, I try to take these cuts to the next level every single time. And if you got to detail a lot, hey, that's what it is. Sometimes you have to detail more than other times to get that fade nice and blurry. So here I am, starting on the back of his taper. And same rules apply here, guys. Whatever you did to the left side and the right side, we're gonna do to the back. So I started my bald guideline. I'm taking it down to skin. And now I'm gonna work my way down. Well, you know what, I'm lying. I think I'm actually just debulking the hair here with the number 5. It's all debulked, and now I'm actually gonna fade my way going up. So here is my clipper all the way open, setting my next guideline in. I'm coming up about 3/4 of an inch. And I'm gonna adjust that lever halfway closed and then all the way closed and take out that bottom line. And then now my lever is open and I'm just adjusting it to clean all that area up. Here's my 1/8 guard doing the same thing. And I'm just adjusting them just adjusting them guards, adjusting that lever as needed. You can fade down this area also. So right here, I actually am fading down, but then now I'm fading up. I know y'all gonna be like, man, what is this dude doing? He's all over the place. That's just how I cut hair sometimes. I don't actually, so even though I have steps that I like to follow, sometimes I just switch it up and I'll fade down a little bit, then come up and I'll fade up, and I'll just tie the top fade in with the bottom fade, and that's okay. You gotta do what you gotta do to make sure these haircuts look good. So if you like to fade down, if that's your preference, then you do that. If you like to fade up, you can do that also. If you like to use a mixture of both, like I said, you just gotta do what you do to make sure these haircuts come out good, guys. So as you can see here, I'm just hitting up everything I did with that trimmer. I'm just going over it with my razor to make sure all this is nice and straight and make sure it pops. So I normally use the big towels on the face. I actually ran out, so I had to use a small towel, but we still got it. We still got done what we needed to get done. So as you can see, now I'm going and I'm lining up that beard with that razor. So remember, guys, when you're lining people up with that razor, you want to make sure you stretch that skin and hold that razor as flat as you can. You can slightly put a slight tilt to it, but if you're fairly new with this, I would lay my razor a little more flat than normal, or a little flatter than normal. Same thing, y'all know what I mean. So now we're adding some enhancements. Just making sure these lines pop. You know, trying to take this cut to the next level. And here I am with my barber pencil, and I'm just going over everything, and I'm gonna fade out that pencil with my trimmers and also with the razor. Now, I don't think I actually recorded me doing it with the razor, but y'all will see me doing it with the trimmer. So this is the finished product. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this cut in the comments, guys. We gave this man a hot taper fade, lined up his beard, you know, added some enhancements. I think we hooked it up, man. I think this boy coming out of here looking icy. Y'all let me know what y'all think in these comments, guys. If you haven't done so, please make sure to smash that like button. Also, subscribe one time for your boy. Man, we putting in work over here, guys. I appreciate y'all for watching, YouTube. Until next time.